Good morning, and welcome to the Daily Huddle. It is Tuesday, and every Tuesday we show up to talk about all things communication and relationships because we believe that more effective communication makes for better relationships, and better relationships makes for better families, better business, better community, and a better life. Well, many of you know that we are changing it up on Tuesdays, and I could not be more excited about our fourth Tuesday of every month host. And I'd like to welcome somebody that many of you know, Andrea Villa Vélez. And I'm not going to read you her bio. I'll let her talk a little bit about her work. But I want to tell you what I know about Andrea. She knows how to be a true friend. The word authentic is really thrown around today, so I want to be careful to use it very intentionally. She is honestly one of the most sincere, authentic women I have ever known. She has a way of being real and showing up fully herself. She brings a bright light, a world of knowledge, and she possesses something that I very much hope to learn from. She is wildly efficient, organized, and she has a great ability for output. So I'm going to turn it over to my dear friend, and I'm so excited she's here. Welcome, Andrea.
Well, thank you so much, Tira. And back to you, authentic, powerful, knowledgeable woman who knows her stuff. That is you. So I'm so happy that we get to know each other and we have worked together and experienced life together and to many more years like this. So thank you so much for extending this invitation to me, Tara.
My pleasure.
Awesome.
Dig into the question of the day.
Let's do it. So, as Tara was saying, Tara, Christy, Lee, and myself, we are talking about relationships and communications. And I'm going to bring a layer of an entrepreneurship perspective. So, I am an implementation coach, which means if you want to do something, I will help you accomplish it. And the question of the day, that's what I'm going to help you accomplish. How can simple, clear messages strengthen team relationships? So that is the question of the day. And I usually have an objective and an outcome. As Tara was saying, very organized. So the objective of today's discussion, because I want to bring your knowledge to here, is to discuss the importance of simple, clear messages. And the outcome of this conversation is I want you to implement one change you can make today to simplify your communication. So that is the outcome of our conversation. We're going to talk about a couple of topics, the importance, but I want the end goal of today's conversation is that I'm going to make a decision about one change I can start implementing today to simplify and better your communications. Are you for the challenge? I hope you are. So awesome.
Love it.
I see this. Okay. So let's start talking a little bit about what a team means. Team, even if you're a solopreneur or you work with a very small group of people, a team is, like I said, people you work with. Those are your clients, but also can be your family. So let's think about a team mentality. We don't live by ourselves. You're part of a tribe. So your team is your tribe. Let's put it that way. Professionally, this tribe is going to help you collaborate to achieve your goals, and it's going to build that trust through clear roles and communication. So professionally, you have your tribe. Personally, this group of people, this team you have, is going to support your growth, and you're going to share experience with them, and you're going to have trust and empathy with that group. So everybody, again, super important. Even though if you're a solopreneur, you believe you don't have a team, you actually do. You have it professionally with the people you work with, or you have it personally. And the three main things that simple, clear communication does are foster trust, reduces conflict, and enhances collaboration. When you overcomplicate messages, you lead to misunderstanding and frustration. And this clarity is going to eliminate ambiguity and create a space for action and alignment. So
Will you
that's
say the
the
three things again? Foster trust, reduce.
fast, foster trust, reduces conflict, and enhances collaboration. Those are
Oh,
the three things simple, clear communication does. And I'm going to post a question right now. Let's think about one challenge you have faced in the past when communicating with people you work with. Just think about one problem. We're going to face this conversation around that problem. And also think about an instance when clear, simple messages help you positively. Think about a problem, that situation that it was hard, but also think about when you actually implemented clear communication, how you felt, how you helped your team. Does anybody want to share either the problem or the clarity moment?
I will share an experience,
Go for it.
and I'm going to go with family and not work.
Perfect.
And it oftentimes when my daughter Caroline is at her dad's with his husband, I will communicate with his husband via text message about Caroline, and it always goes south. And so it was building up a lot of mistrust. And so what we decided to do is to stop texting and to communicate on the actual telephone and explain where we were coming from with why we were making the recommend. It was always about Caroline's care, but there was just constant conflict. And when we started to explain why we think the way that we do, or try to understand why we do, and lead with curiosity, it really helped.
Oh, that's beautiful, Tara. So what I'm hearing from you is that you found that there was a problem and you also immediately tried to find a solution because of that trust that was broken. And the solution was, let's find a different vehicle of communicating. Text is not working. Awesome.
Yeah.
So that is, thank you for sharing. And I invite the rest of the people seeing this video or being here with us at Zoom, think about a moment that was hard for you in communication. And if you found a solution or you're still in the problem, hopefully this conversation is going to help you see a different point of view. Okay, so let's start with the three things that I mentioned: how clear messages build trust, reduce conflict, and enhance collaboration. So building trust. How do we feel when clear communication demonstrates respect for others' time and effort? That is the first bullet that I want you to think, or the first topic that I want you to think right now about trust. Trust is related to respect. So you usually, when you are creating a very elaborate and cumbersome type of communication, or not, like Tara just mentioned it, when you are not communicating clearly, you are not respecting others' time, times and effort. So it creates your mistrust because you're not communicating, you're wasting my time, I don't want to hear about it. Also, when you're clear, it reduces guesswork. Your brain is always, and Tara is our expert in brain, but the brain is always trying to find what is the most simple point so I can survive. So if you are not providing that transparency and clarity, you are not going to create that trust or make your team members or family members feel valued. And consistent, clear messaging is going to reinforce accountability and dependability. So when you're building trust with clear messages, you respect others' time and effort. You're reducing guesswork. You're helping them feel value. I trust you. I feel that I'm part of this. And you also consistently reinforce accountability and dependability. So being clear, it helps tremendously because when you feel trust, you feel connected. So now question, do you feel currently that either your team or your family trust each other? And how do you believe communication plays a role in that? So think about trust. Think about your team. Think about the people you work with. Currently, do you feel there is trust? I'm going to give you 20 seconds just to reflect on that question.
It feels like it can't be all encompassing, the answer. And what I mean by that is
Mm-hmm.
within my family,
Mm-hmm.
most of us trust each other because we trust each other's intentions. We know
Mm-hmm.
each other's heart. But taking that to a work setting, you may trust some folks, and some folks, there's a few people that I are in my circles of work that I don't really respect their reason for doing what they do. So it makes me
Mm-hmm.
not trust them.
Okay. And do you think that communication plays a role in that trust, or is just truly who they are that you don't trust
100%.
them?
Definitely
Mm-hmm.
communication would play a role in that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So that
Yeah.
is why the first point of how important it is to have those clear, simple messages build trust. And these messages they don't have to be all of the time positive. Let's
Mhm.
work together, let's collaborate. No, you can actually build trust by being clear. I don't want you to guess that I truly am having a hard time working with you, for example. But if you're clear and concise, trust is something that is built even if they don't want to work with you at this time. Two completely different things. So that's point number one. How clear messages build trust.
Mhm.
Super important. Let's move to the second point.
Okay.
Reducing conflict through clarity. So put yourself in a situation when unclear expectations that you are part of unclear expectations or instructions. Let's say that you are going through a path, going to a journey, and you actually don't know where you're going because the instructions are not clear. Or you go to a website and you click and you said, now what? I don't understand. I click here, they don't follow instructions. So that actually increases possibilities of conflict. When the messages are not clear and your expectations, next steps, instructions, you don't know where you're going, that is going to increase conflict. Simple messages minimize assumptions, clarify roles, priorities. So when we are being very strict, and I want to use the word strict, when you are going to use messages to provide instructions to others. I want you to drive here, then we'll go to lunch, then I'm going to go home. I need to be home by 2 p.m. When you don't provide that information and expectations are not clear, conflict will be increased. For example, actionable language, and I'm going to give you a list of, I have 5 sentences that I want you to start testing if you don't use them right now to help you with clarity in your communication. Number one, what I need from you is XXX. This works beautifully, and this is for our people who are in relationships with a man or a woman. Usually, if you're not clear about what you need from them, conflict exists. So you can actually start, particularly when you're hurting.
Okay.
Hey, what I need from you right now is just to hear me out. I don't need solutions. I don't need your opinion. I just want you to be here and listen to me. That actually prevents you from having a conflict. When you start sharing your frustration with the other person and the other person is like, oh my gosh, how I'm going to help them? Oh, I'm going to provide this solution, this solution, this solution. And you don't need solutions. You need somebody to be just speaking with. So that's number one. What I need from you is that. For your team or people that you're working with, your vendors, here's what success looks like for me. Dot. This is what I want to get from this meeting. This is what I want you to get from this. That's another sentence you can use. Number 3, can you confirm that you understand by nodding your head, sending me an email, calling me by 3? So very specific sentences. Can you confirm that you understand by? Number 4, let's align on the next steps. I will do X and you will do Y.
Mhm.
Very specific. Are you aligned? Let's align on next steps. I will do X. You will do Y. And number 5, particularly for team members, the priority is X. And I would like you to focus on that first. Because it could be in a team members and you're working with a team and you say, hey, the priority is to finish this website. Period.
Right.
But you don't clarify what you want them to do. They may just select whatever they believe is going to be better for the website, and it may not be aligned with your leadership and what you need them to do. So it's super specific. This is the priority, and I would like you to focus on that first. So I'm going to, and I can copy and paste all of the questions that I'm recommending in the chat, or I can send them via email. So don't worry about it. I see
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
So what I need from you is, here's what success looks like. Can you confirm that you understand this by, let's align on next steps. I will do this and you will do that. And number 5, the priority is this, and I would like you to focus on Y. So my question to you after reading those questions is, have you ever experienced a conflict that could have been avoided with this type of questions? Does anybody want to share an experience and how it may potentially have helped? Go for it, Ram.
I have a son that still lives with me. He's 22 years old, and I don't get that he doesn't see the world the same way I do. And if I'm not, and what you're saying, I'm shaking my head, because even just last night we had a conflict where he was looking for something that he thinks I put away. He looked everywhere, including driving to our storage unit and opening up all the bins and looking for it. And then he called me up and he was almost accusatory, like, where is this item? And I'm thinking, there is a complete breakdown in communication here. Number one, he's living with me. He's driving my car. He's eating my food. He's making, he's got all this benefit of being around me. And yet he still is not speaking in a way that is respectful and makes me want to continue to support him. Right. He's just to the point where I'm like, get out, leave me alone. So it would be very good for me to say, what I need from you is to speak with me, respectfully, and appreciate what you have, and what I want you to focus on. This is gold for me. So I'm copying and pasting this. I'm going to be working this into that conversation.
I love it.
I'm really good with it with my employees and my company. I'm not so good with my son, right? So,
and that is the idea that I'm bringing. Yeah, exactly, Robin. And what I'm thinking about is all the things that we have learned in our professions, in our work, in our jobs. We sometimes need to bring those to our personal relationships, honestly, because they're process driven. You remove as much as you can the emotional aspect of it, but just being clear. And if I may recommend, after you tell him, this is what I need from you, this is the priority, when you provide that information to them, you then confirm, hey, can you tell me back what you heard? Because one of the things we assume that conversations, when are trying to reduce conflict, are just one-way stream, and they are not. You actually need to ensure that verbally they can tell you back what they heard to ensure that is exactly what you meant.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Any other comments about this? Have you experienced conflict that could have been resolved with the questions that we posted?
I am looking at these questions because I did write them down, and I'm weak on details, and I think these are super clarifying. One thing that I'm wondering if you found to be helpful is these all feel like commitments, and when we make a commitment to do something, as opposed to, okay, great meeting, and then you just sometimes you'll have a meeting, you'll spend an hour, and then it all falls apart. Nobody executes. What I'm wondering is if you coach people to also make these commitments by a date, a deadline, because for me, deadlines are everything.
Yes. That's great, Tara, because not only the date and the deadline, it's something that is a number that doesn't bring any emotions. It's not that you're saying, oh, please do it whenever you can. It's whenever you can. It may be whenever they can, and it's not aligned to what you need and what you want. So yes, I agree with you 100%, specifically when it's like you say, I am committing to this and it needs to be done by that.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when we talked about when we're not clear, we're not respecting each other's time? By providing dates, by providing very specific time limits, you actually are telling them, you need to respect my time too, because I'm waiting for this. And in order for me to do what is next, need this. So yes, Tara, we will for sure.
I love that. I work with a lot of independent folks, like that. None of them are employed by me. And I've learned that rather than asking them to do it by a date, I say, when might this be finished? And they usually give me a date that's sooner than I would have asked for. And then they
exactly.
make the commitment. So.
Exactly. And it's their date, is self-imposed deadlines are sometimes the most important ones that you do because you actually are committing to something. So I love that idea. And I see, Stan, you have your hand up.
First of all, so good to see you. Haven't seen you in a long time.
I know.
And forgive me, I'm off camera for a moment. That's a little bit better for me at the moment. Sometimes I find that being like that can come across being very bossy.
Okay, so let's expand on bossiness. Do you think that is, you make it sound that is a negative thing?
It can be. It can be, especially, I mean, especially in a situation, say where maybe you're like in a team situation at work, whatever it is. Everybody pretty much is supposed to be coming there pretty much on equal basis. You understand there's got to be somebody always that's kind of head in the group. Now that pretty much has to be that way. Sometimes it takes it kind of comes about organically. And then there's other times there's clearly somebody in charge of a group, right? But when you're saying, and I'm thinking about it in that case, and even in a personal perspective, sometimes when you come across this is what I need, I think it has to be careful with you got to be. There's got to be a way that is delivered.
Absolutely, these are, Stan. You are completely correct. If the tone you're using is already accusatory or come in conflict stand, it will not be taken appropriately. But when you're having a discussion with a mature person, this is a little bit different with children, but with a mature person, it is changing a lot lately for women specifically. You can be direct. It doesn't mean that you're bossy. So it all depends on the context that you're using, the tone of your words. Your nonverbals are super important. Tara has mentioned this many, many times. Your nonverbals are going to help you say, hey, and I'm not saying you need to be smiling all of the time, but when you're starting a conversation, you say, hey, what I need from you is this. It's much different. What I need from you is this. So absolutely, you are correct. You need to be cautious. Some of them may be taken out of context. And as Tara was saying at the beginning, her experience about text, you will not send usually all of those words in a text. You're probably going to follow up with an audio text. Use those a lot. Those are amazing because they can hear the expression on your voice. So I recommend using those. But professional emails, we need to get more into this rhythm of being short and simple instead of saying, good morning, I hope this email found you well. But you can actually get to the point and being very respectful. So I hear you, Stan. It takes practice. Make sense?
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Okay. Number 3, simple messages foster collaboration. And it's exactly what you were saying, Stan. They help you align with the goals as a group. There is clarity. Everybody's going through the same motion at the same pace toward the same goals. But also you need to be open for collaboration because not everybody is like you. So by you being clear, by you being about what you need. You also, as a team member, you say, hey, Andrea, yes, I've heard that you said what you need is this, and you need it from me by X. However, I work differently. What I need from you in order for me to do this is X. So you see, this is a both ways. You can use those questions as the recipient of an information or the one delivering it. So that is fostering collaboration. It's a safe environment for sharing ideas because everybody's clear.
Mm.
And to summarize, because I know we want to talk a little bit more at the end of this conversation, and I want to extend it too much, there are truly practical tips to create simple and clear messages for your life and your profession. So Stan, this is going to evolve in the things that you ask for, because number one, you need to know your audience. So you need to know the people who you're talking to, and meaning knowing, you don't have to know them personally, but you need to know what they're about. So if you are in a large group and you're the first one working and you're leading, you are going to know them by the project you're working with, and you're working for, the project that you're trying to develop. If yours is your family, you actually need to tailor the message to their understanding and needs and not yours. So when you say a statement, what I need from you is this, the answer needs to be tailored to their needs and not yours. You see, that's the little trick. You need to translate it into a way that they will understand it.
Gotcha.
For example, when I was telling about Robin what his son, can you summarize this in your own words? Can you repeat to me what you heard from me in your own words? Does this align with your understanding of what it needs to be done? Is there anything unclear that we have talked about that we need to talk more? Let's expand further. That's another beautiful question. Another that I actually love and use all of the time. What do you think about this approach? Is this aligned to the way that you work? Is this aligned to the way that you see life? And lastly, can you confirm the next steps in your role in your own words? So you see, we have a person saying it, a person collaborating, and a set of questions that can help facilitate clarity. Now we have 2 minutes, and I want you to think right now. I'm going to put the questions in the chat. What will be one thing that you can start implementing today that is going to simplify and clarify your messages to evolve your relationships? Can you share it? Do you want to share it? If you don't have to, if you don't want to, and we need to be a little bit quick. So if you can say the answer short about the things that you're going to start implementing today, that will be great.
You want us to put it in the chat or tell you?
You can do it in the chat, or you can tell me. And I just put in the chat the questions that I used during our presentation.
Okay, I'll give you one real quick. So this is my husband. He's an engineer, super organized, super efficient, and I'm super creative. And I'm going to say to him, what I need from you is to understand that I don't accomplish things in the same way that you do.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Tara. That's awesome.
And I won't end it with asshole.
Maybe later. Maybe later. After
you asshole. I'll tell you, I'm seeing in me that I have a tendency to not do this when my wife is talking to me, to not be the one that hears what she's saying. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, with her, repeat back what she says. I'm going to say,
in your
what
own
I hear
words.
you saying is, or what you need from me is, and just clarify the whole thing so all the minutia gets cut through. You know, I talk about marketing and how I get rid of the smoke and mirrors. Well, this is like clearing smoke and mirrors in my relationships. Like literally just ask. That's brilliant. It's so simple and it's brilliant. Andrea, you are amazing. Thank you for sharing. I'm glad I jumped in.
For me, Andrea, I'm just going to I have a tendency to be a little too reactive on things that I don't like when they come the way they come. So I've got to make myself be a little bit more open to times when things are not heated to say, babe, we had a conversation so-and-so, or this is something that happens to us. It's a good time. We're sitting down, we're having a good time. And say, I know that I can be a little bit of a jerk sometime. It's because of the way I get triggered.
Okay.
Do you think maybe you can help me with this by maybe not doing this?
Exactly. And it could,
so
or it could
that's
be
what I
also, exactly. And it could be also, hey, usually I get triggered by this. So if you see my reaction is not about what you're telling me, but about something that triggers in my mind. By you just stating that, you actually protecting yourself and letting the other person know that you may be triggered by this.
Thank
Absolutely.
you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what we have for today, Tara.
You have been wonderful. And I know that we're going to close out with our 7 tenets, and I know that you know them. So, okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, love with all your heart. Give freely everything that you can give. Laugh. I love that one. Just laugh out loud or just smile. Do that when you're on the phone. That helps all of the time. Stress less. Sleep 8 hours. Eat plants. Coming from a vegan, you should always eat plants, but I understand that not all of you do. And move that body. Those are our tenets.
Thank you, Andrea. We're so happy you're here. See you all next time on the Daily Huddle.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everybody. Thank you.
Good seeing everybody.
Andrea,
Take care.
good to see you again.
Great seeing you, Robin.
You too, Tara.